My name is Hannah, and I live in Northern California in the United States, and I'm 22 years old.
Nice. And yeah, you had some health issues before. What were they?
I did. I was pretty severely anemic in the summer of 2009, and I wasn't sure what was wrong at the beginning, and once I found out that I was anemic, I had actually improved pretty greatly, but I was still had very low iron, both in my bloodstream and in my iron stores.
So how did you find out?
Well, I went and got a blood test, and the first time I got it done, the doctor, I guess, read it wrong and didn't tell me that I was anemic. And so at that time, I stopped drinking caffeine, and I got a little bit better, but I was still pretty pale and didn't have a lot of energy and was getting really bad headaches. So I went back about a month later and got tested again. And my iron levels were still low, but they were much higher than the first time I got them done. So I still wasn't supposed to be driving a car, and I felt so much better at that point that then I called the first doctor who had taken my blood test and asked him what my levels had been then, and they were like 10 points lower. So it was pretty bad, but it was kind of getting better. But so at that point I got an iron infusion through an IV, and then I was taking iron pills with every meal for about a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And when
how did you feel in general?
Really terrible.
Yeah, in what way?
I had just really bad migraines to the point where it was really hard for me to hold a conversation, and I was sleeping at least 12 hours a day, and I was really thirsty all the time, and if I tried to exercise, I ran a lot at that time, and if I tried running, my legs would start burning and my lungs would start burning, and I basically wasn't getting any oxygen to my cells.
Oh, right.
So yeah, then for about a year I was taking iron supplements all the time, and when I missed them I didn't feel very good, and my headaches would kind of come back and I'd feel a little bit low. And then I found 80-10-10 kind of by other means, and I wasn't really expecting this to get better, but then after about 3 weeks, I had not taken my iron pills for a couple of days and was kind of like curious to see what would happen. And I felt great. I kept feeling good, and I just never took them again. And,
and how long time ago is this?
That was almost 4 years ago.
And how long did you have the problems?
For about a year. Oh, yeah. Maybe a year and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you feel today in general?
Great.
Yeah?
Really amazing. Fruit-based diet has definitely changed my life in many ways, and the anemia is just one of them, but it's the most, quantitative one that I can, point to in a blood test or something. But,
okay, yeah.
But I definitely feel like a new person in every way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Can you tell a little bit about what you eat normally?
Well, a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
Fruit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I usually have salad at night as well. Sometimes I won't crave it and I won't have it, but generally I do. So I usually have salad in the evening. But yeah, it just depends on what fruit is in season or what's around. Like here in Thailand, I've been having dragon fruit for breakfast usually, and mangoes or orange juice for lunch, and then some mangoes or jackfruit or whatever else sounds good at dinner time, and maybe some lettuce and tomatoes.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you have any good final advice for somebody who's dealing with what you had?
I definitely would suggest to give especially a fruit-based vegan diet a try, because we get so much opposite information about anemia that we need to be eating more meat, and at the time that I was anemic I wasn't eating very much meat at all, and so everyone is telling me to eat more of it, and it just didn't feel right, so I decided not to, but everyone was pushing me to, and eventually, kind of by accident, I found out that the opposite is what helps. That I think that a lot of it comes from meat and dairy and general animal products and other cooked foods not being optimal for our digestion, and so a lot of us will then get internal bleeding, and that's what causes our anemia sometimes.
right.
And that's what they expected me, that I had internal bleeding in my intestine, and that was what caused my anemia. And I ate a lot of dairy at the time, so I think it definitely came from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, brilliant. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing.
you. Of course.
Thanks.